My name's Larry Gray. In 1986, I was on a kayaking journey through the Arctic. I was following in the wake of the early British explorers, led by pioneering kayaker Gino Watkins.
The east known part of the proposed route was the east coast and central ice plateau of Greenland. We were able to map about 500 miles of coastline and also to make several long sledge journeys over the ice plateau.
Like the British explorers, I also wanted to learn the secrets of survival from the Inuit, who live in one of the harshest environments on the planet. But Greenland took Gino's life back in 1931, and almost took mine as well. I'm here to conquer that inner fear that's lived inside me ever since, and marvel at the unbroken connection between man and nature in one of the world's last great frontiers. I'm here with my partner Mary, who'll catch up with me at various places along the way. And we're just about to land on the east coast. Greenland's an amazing land of rock and ice, but not a tree in sight, despite its name. The day before we left Australia, I was told my kayak won't fit on the Greenlandic plain, so I had to cut it in half. It's the very thing I was relying on to keep me alive. But we're now in Ammassalik. It's the main town on the whole east coast of Greenland. Put silicon in between here, and I'm bolting it together now, so I have to make up two bulkheads so that it comes together neat. And this is the first time I've attempted it, so I'm hoping it's going to be strong enough to cope with the ice out there. Everything to survive up there. I can live up here for a month if I have to. Things get bad, I'll be surviving. Oh well, not a problem. Enough food. My partner Mary, who'd been waiting in Ammassalik, wasn't so confident about my survival. I was actually quite nervous, but quietly confident.
As skilled as Larry is, I know how dangerous the waters are, and I just couldn't relax until he was back safely.
I've mounted cameras all over my kayak, under the hull, over the deck, any way I can create a living diary. There's a shift that takes place in my mind when I'm travelling solo. I actually feel a lot safer than when I'm part of a group. I realise my vulnerability, and that's what makes me extra cautious. This way I find it easier to be at one with the environment I'm in. That's when the journey flows for me. That's when it really happens. That inner journey. I don't even wear a watch. There are a lot of natural indicators that I use. Clouds reforming into long barrel shapes tell me that there's strong upper air movement. A wind shift followed by a rise in temperature coming from the ice cap indicates that there's a katabatic wind on the way. Winds that can reach over 260 kilometers per hour. Even wildlife can send you a message. Like this bird here, it will weathercock into the most subtle of wind changes, telling me that there could be a storm coming. The sudden explosion of an Arctic storm really terrorises me. In 1986, our support yacht was capsized violently by a 180 km per hour wind. I was on board at the time. The captain broke his back and hip. The storm went on and lasted for 4 days. If that wasn't enough, I nearly died in a deadly avalanche. There's no God, I said. I didn't know where I was, so I climbed out of my kayak and raced up for some air. Bang! Just a ceiling of solid ice. I just felt so alone. It was like I was in a nightmare, and this can't be happening to me. I then went into panic and just scrambled underwater, tearing my fingernails back. I found a tight gap and squeezed the ice with my arms, and it opened up. 10 years later on, I'm much more aware. Don't go anywhere near glaciers and keep away from large icebergs. You've got to think quickly when the weather changes. Just forget about the day's plan and get the hell out of there fast. Bash your way as quickly as possible, get through the ice and find a safe camp. The tent was anchored down every way possible. Just as well.
Getting any better?
By 10 p.m, the storm had passed. There's plenty of leads among the icebergs in the direction I'm heading. By midnight, it was time to leave. Sunrise had already begun. Within an hour, the whole mood had changed again. This is Peter Winter. He's a hunter and married into a Greenlandic family. Mary's hitched a ride on his seal hunting boat down to Wissatok, where I'd eventually catch up with her.
I never imagined myself taking part in a hunt, me of all people. But she changed the concept of hunting in a place like Greenland. It isn't done for sport, it's done for survival. The boat was awash in seal blood, and I was very much aware of Greenland's raw existence.
Yeah.
It's about 10 p.m. now, and there's just amazing spectacles everywhere I look. I decided to set up camp under the gleam of the midnight sun and try and catch some of that beauty on film. I feel like when I'm connecting with nature, everything just flows as it should. But reflecting on 1986's journey, there were just too many chiefs on board for the wrong reasons. And maybe I just wasn't paying enough respect. And in an extreme place like Greenland, if you don't respect nature, it'll come back at you like a ton of bricks. The next day had an eerie feeling about it. I heard the ominous rumbling of a disintegrating iceberg. Somewhere, this tumbling berg is upsetting the whole equilibrium of the fjord. At these times, you have to be so careful. I could feel it through the hull. You really know you're alive out here, that's for sure. Ice is moving all around you. In these conditions, I feel really humbled by nature. Nothing is greater than this ice, and it's up to me to stay alive. Just the shout of your voice can make an iceberg like this collapse. There's a power in adventure that unlocks something special within the human spirit. I've discovered over the years that many scientific explorations, deep down, were driven by pure love of adventure. That was their primary motivation for getting out there. But this is Wissatok Island, my destination. I was here in 1986. The place hasn't changed one bit. The island gets thoroughly thrashed by pittorac storms, wind speeds of up to 260 kilometres per hour. The minimal hunting these people do in the summer have never hurt the whale or seal population. Whale and seal meat are the staple diet and form a complete food for such a climate. I mean, it's the same thing, isn't it? When it's slaughtered, it's easy to pass the buck and say, oh, you know, ooh, how can you dare kill a seal? But I mean, we did the same thing. We did the same thing in knocking off a baby lamb and eating it. We just don't see it. We scrub our hands of that and we just go to the shop and buy it. And there is nicely wrapped up and we eat it. Visiting Isatok is a visceral experience. You wonder what you're going to see next.
That's a human hand.
That's a human hand, yeah. You get that?
You just don't expect to come across them on your way home for dinner.
One of the families invited us in for a feed. The main meal was a raw seal that had been buried since last season. I thought, yep. Ladies before gentlemen.
It might be more to your taste. Be nice and cooked.
Here, you have the rest.
I'm full.
The next day, all my dreams had come true. I was invited for a lesson in the art of kayaking by a master. It's amazing what gets revealed when the summer sun melts the ice away. There's no soil in Greenland to dig a hole, and no rubbish collection in these remote hunting villages. The anorak hadn't been used in years. You bring it back to life by rubbing and flexing it back and forth. The double thumb gloves are reversible for when the paddle wears the inside out. Not even a bubble is allowed to sneak by the seams. If so, the gloves must be relashed. I'm here to learn whatever I can. He showed me something new straight off.
I'll try.
My forehead was burning with a deep ache from the cold, but I couldn't tear myself away.
Thank you.
I can understand why no one here ever learned to swim.
Whoa. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Some techniques he showed me I weren't even going to try in case I had to get out.
No, I don't think I'd try this one. Like that? Yeah. Oh, no. I'm going to try and do an ordinary roll first. If I can't, get ready to throw me the paddle.
The cold is trying to take your breath away. Yet it's this danger that has made these people become such masters. I came back to Greenland to face my fears. So, what have I learned? Not going against my intuition and being in tune by living in the moment. Trying to meet stupid deadlines can put you in danger. So I've done it. I've come through. I feel liberated now. Like when I took that first breath after being trapped under the ice. I'm here to conquer that inner fear that's lived inside me ever since, and marvel at the unbroken connection between man and nature in one of the world's last great frontiers.